The reality is that it's just never been better to be a human being. That's just the truth. That's just data. That's reality.
성공과 행복을 모두 잡는 사람들은 어떤 원칙을 가지고 있을까요? 대부분의 사람들은 성공이라는 최종 결과만을 중요하게 여기고 성공의 길로 나아가는 과정과 그 열정을 더욱 가치 있게 만드는 자기인식, 호기심, 감사함 같은 소프트 스킬의 중요성은 있곤 하죠. 게리비라고 알려진 게리바이너척은 현재 3,400만 명이 넘는 팔로워를 보유하고 있어요. 그리고 그는 비즈니스 업계에서 가장 미래지향적인 인물로 알려져 있는데요. 지금부터 행복한 성공을 위한 그만의 원칙을 살펴볼까요?
It's just an incredible time, and I think the way people look at the world right now, because it's such an incredible time, is actually the quickest tell to who they are. If you think it sucks or it's bad, you have losing, pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic, winning DNA. And my lack of interest in complaining is so high. And when I watch what people complain about, it breaks my heart because they completely lack perspective. And I genuinely believe my happiness and optimism comes from my perspective. There's so many people that are talking shit about how big of an entrepreneur they're gonna be and how much they're gonna achieve, and they don't work on weekends. You know, I worked every Saturday of my 20s. And I talk to 20-year-old entrepreneurs every single day. Lately, I've been saying to them, this Saturday, you're gonna have more time off than I've had in my entire 20s. So before you tell me how you're gonna be bigger than me, start thinking about what you're actually doing.
Right.
I think positivity and good is practical advice to building an empire, and I wanna be the poster child of the person that built the biggest, baddest empire and did it by being a good dude along the way. I plan to instill kindness into my kids. I plan on instilling perspective into my kids. I plan in instilling just being a good human being, right? I don't need them to be an entrepreneur. I don't need them to make me proud. They don't need to go to Harvard. They don't need to do shit. They need to be themselves, all in, and they need to be kind, and I'm good. I don't judge myself. I'm fully in love with myself. But I'm also fully in love with everybody else too. It goes both ways. I tell people to buy into me, that work for me, it's because I buy into them first. I don't need anybody to gain trust with me. It's there. The reality is that it's just never been better to be a human being. That's just the truth. That's just data. That's reality. And not everybody's gonna be happy about everything I did, but if it's 97% of people talking good behind your back, that's a real legacy. And I wanna do it in a pop culture way. I'm gonna do it anyway. People have done that before. Just so you know, there's plenty of people. Warren Buffett's a really good dude. There's plenty of people that have done that. There's a difference. I wanna do it, and I wanna be a rock star, right? And that's where you influence people. I wanna do it, but I also wanna be the most popular. And so then that person's like, oh, I wanna be him, so I guess I'll be nice. I wanna literally take people who have DNA that's kind of nice and make them more nice because they think that's how I became big. So I basically wanna trick the business world into becoming kinder. I watch people give advice completely predicated on natural talent and DNA, and I'm like, look, I get it, I can throw a football every day for 9 hours a day. I'm just not physically built to be competitive at the highest levels. So yeah, I do think, if anybody watching right now, if there's anything they take away, it's look, you're gonna only be so pretty, you're only gonna be so smart, there's things that are gonna be natural, and then there's things that you can actually control. I do believe, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I don't, but I do believe that work ethic is a taught behavior. It's something you do have more control over. And so I feel like there's a shift that can make people work harder. If you're to me, life is broken down into complaining and not. So if you're not complaining, well then I have no advice for you. We're beating ourselves up. Everybody sucks at something, right? We all have shortcomings and we all have strengths. And for me, it's why don't we just audit that? Why don't we just look at it that way and be all right, well, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. And then I only focus what I'm good at, right? I don't dwell that I can't fix shit around the house. I call somebody to fix it. I'm not a man. I don't give a Like, I don't get it. Like, we all, like, I also think it's awesome that I'm so emotionally stable and I'm the emotional backbone of everybody. Is that what a dude's supposed to do? Like these cliches, these stereotypes, they're so silly. I believe that the human race is so grossly underrated. We are good. Of course we have some bad, but like when you look at our net score, it's bonkers shit. Like, do you know how much damage we could be doing to each other on an hourly basis and we don't? Like, we're still here. Like, we won. We're the alpha being and we've figured out how to stay together. This is insane when you think about it. And yet everybody wants to dwell on like somebody said something mean. Karma is practical. I love how people think karma is like this weird thing. Doing good for other people is a good strategy. Like, I've been like trying to forget, I'm like, why does this thing even exist? It's actually the most common sense thing of all time. Why does karma seem weird? If you do lots of good things, that weirdly good things happen to you, yeah, that seems like common sense. Like, it's amazing to me. I want to do the following. I'm fascinated by the same thing that attracts so many of millions of people to people that are selling bullshit. Those same people are attracted to me. And what I want to do is suffocate out all those other people and become the alpha of that entire world of people that are hoping and are desperate to look at me. And what I want to do is inspire 2 14-year-old girls in Kansas City right now to build a $1 billion company on having a bunch of employees hugging each other in the halls. I think that Steve Jobs came along, became an icon, but the sad part of that narrative was he did not treat his employees well. He became an icon and the narrative became he got the most out of people by being a jerk, and that became romanticized. And a lot of people in Silicon Valley today run companies where they're mean because they think that's the right thing to do because they put Steve Jobs on a pedestal. I want my pedestal moment. I want to become that big, and what I want to come from that is that kids that aren't even born today think that they can build a $5 billion company and be a great guy or a great gal. I want to build the biggest building in town ever by just building the biggest building in town, while I think most people try to tear down everybody else's building. So I think positivity and good is practical advice to building an empire, and I want to be the poster child of the person that built the biggest, baddest empire and did it by being a good dude along the way.